recording is starting. All right, I'm back with Luke after probably 6 months.
But I think it's longer than that. I think it's been about a year, honestly.
Yeah, it's a long time, man. Yeah, we kind of both went our own way, I guess. Yeah, it's more than a year. It's true. Damn.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been doing good, man. Been doing good. In spite of everything that's going on in the world, I'm still killing it, man.
Yeah.
Still
Well, you should. It's like most people are going like batshit crazy in the situation.
Yeah.
It's like it's very weird. There's like the lockdowns don't make a lot of sense in my opinion, but I'm not a doctor either, so it's like, but it's just, I think it's good in one way,
Yeah, I think it is. It seems like, well, I mean, from the reports and everything, I don't trust everything that I see online, but it's looking like the world is healing itself through all this, which is pretty awesome. I was walking through Kent, Ohio the other day, and it looked like a rainforest outside. It was just beautiful. Everything's so lush and green, and there's a lot less pollution. And I know I sound like a hippie talking about all that stuff, but maybe we're the virus, and the world's taking some time to heal itself.
Yeah, it's funny how nature is restoring. Well, not restoring. I like here on the island, like I wake up with crickets right now. Well, I think they're crickets. They sound like crickets. Must be crickets. I mean, but yeah, like 6 o'clock because I sleep with my windows open because of the heat, and it's like I don't need an alarm. I don't need an alarm clock anymore, so that's pretty cool. Not a lot of dumb tourists who are like dangerous on the road, so it's all kind of good. At this point, I'm starting to miss competition though. Like,
fighting.
Yeah. It's like It's like when people ask me like, how do you deal with this? And I was like, well, I just treat it like an off season. Like as soon as our gym closed, I was like, well, there's only so much things I can do, like training wise. So instead of like just keep pushing myself like I did before, I might as well train a little bit less and like focus on other aspects of my life, And then slowly but surely, like there were like things that were improving in my life. And after a month, I was like, okay. Like I've improved that I wanted to improve. Like I wrote everything down and I wanted to improve, and I was like, I looked at it and I was like, there's probably more that I can improve, but at this point I don't see it. Like there's probably blind spots right now, and they will pop up at one point, And I was like, maybe now it's time to like motivate other people. So I basically told one of my training partners, like tomorrow you run at 9 because you're literally depressed. Like you didn't train for a month. Like get out.
Like get off your ass and do something.
Yeah, it's like just get the fuck off your ass and do something because this isn't making it better. You're only making it worse. And this is the issue I think that a lot of people will have, because in the beginning they're like, oh, I lost my job, party, although they probably had to stay inside.
Yeah.
But you have no excuses anymore. Like if you don't improve your life right now, it's like, what are you going to say? Like, you didn't have time? Like, come on, you had 16 hours in a day because you didn't have a job.
Yeah.
Unless you had to go to work. And it's like, you literally just have to work out, read some books, do some writing, and reflect on things. Like, you could improve your life tremendously in, like, a month or however long this circus is going to take, I have the feeling a lot of people are going to miss out on this.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, it's all on how you look at it. Like a lot of people saw it as, well, first off, a lot of people saw it as I get a nice break from work, which is cool. But a lot of people went into like a worry mode too, the anxiety with how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Which is 100% understandable, no judgment on that, because, money truly is what makes our capitalist society go, but rather than that going right into it, I took the outlook of this is an opportunity to better myself, to learn new ways to work out, because obviously the gyms are all shut down right now, So doing
Yeah.
a lot of calisthenics, and I got some 35-pound weights that I use. But yeah, it's like the way that you handle things. There's so much that's out of control, but our reaction to things is what's in our control. So, I was lucky enough to only be out of work for 2 weeks. So,
Yeah.
and they paid us for it. So I can't relate with, somebody who's being pushed into poverty because of this. And I'm also killing it with my Sweet Machine Fitness, my T-shirts,
Yeah.
selling shirts and doing stuff like that. So, but it's just like I've been thriving more in this time than I was prior. So,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Kind of the same.
so.
Yeah. Especially like mentally. That's like my strong game right now. Like physically, it was like, well, I mean, can only gain so much muscle. Like especially at the point where I'm at right now. I don't want to be too big, so I just gained a little bit of muscle, and I was like, okay, I'm happy with that. But like my mental game has improved like significantly. I think that was a little bit needed. Like especially after my second fight, I was like, I lost, and I was like, fuck. And I went to like, I should have taken a break after that. If I was smart, I should have stopped right there and be like, I need a break. I need to figure some shit out. I fucked up. But I didn't. I just took some time off, went into training camp, another one, because I wanted a rematch. I was so pissed. I was like, I can beat this guy. And
Yeah.
I went to that training camp, and like mentally I could push through, like I could push some things away. But then like there was an injury that I had in my second fight that just popped up in my third. We were like shin splints in my left shin. And I was like, I saw a video on that guy, and I was like, okay, I can finish him. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like get some ring time in, fight 2 rounds, figure him out, and then take him out in the third. And man, I sat down after that second round and looked at my leg, and it was like as big as my fucking quad.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, motherfucker, you have to be kidding me. I was like, because like I couldn't stand on that leg. Like as soon as I stepped into that ring, I thought I was gonna pass out and vomit.
Mhm.
And I was like, motherfucker. And I remember looking at my leg and I was like, fuck, I have an issue. Like I need to finish this guy quick, and I couldn't. So I fought 5 rounds and I lost that fight again. I lost my third fight as well, and I was like, fuck. I was really pissed, and in the back I was really hard on myself. And then I had a forced 2-week layoff, and I think that kind of helped to put things in perspective. And then the lockdown happened. I was like, well, now is a perfect opportunity to clean the whole shit out, like get rid of all of the noise of my life.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Find your place of zen again. And you should have taken a break after that second fight or whatever, but now you get it. It all worked out anyway.
It's hard to explain. You must understand that too. You have competed too. It's like when you compete and you lose, it's like you want that loss back. Well,
Mhm.
as a fighter, it's like I want to fight that guy again, especially because so I only fought 4 rounds. That was the funny thing in that second fight. So I started off strong. He came suddenly guns blazing in the second. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it took me some time to figure him out. But in the fourth, I was finding my rhythm. And I was like, okay, 5th round. I mean, I'm just gonna go balls to the wall, And they just stopped the fight, and I was like, what the fuck is this? So if you look at the fight, he won on points fair and square in the 4 rounds. But nobody got knocked out. So I was like, give me my fucking 5th round,
Yeah. Why did they stop it?
It's Thailand, There's a lot of shit that goes on here which you can't explain.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just in the local scene. It's like, you fight that guy, and that guy can be smaller than you, that guy can be bigger than you, but they always lie to you. Like my third fight, they go like, your opponent has 20 fights, and I look at them and I'm like, virtually impossible.
Mhm.
That's not if he's Thai, he's not gonna have 20 fights. So I was like, okay, I play along, And I stepped into the ring, and they go like, red corner, 3rd fight, blue corner, over 100 fights, and I was like, motherfuckers, I knew it. Every fucking time. Just tell me the truth, I don't care. I don't care about that record, but just tell me, that there's a difference in fighting somebody who has like 20 fights and somebody who has over 100 fights. That's
Oh
like
yeah.
that's like you have to
Well,
you have to approach you have to approach it differently. You know, and
mm,
you just lie, and they don't care. And I'm like, dude, it's like what the fuck, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Wild. But I mean, you now you have the opportunity to come back better and rested.
Well, yeah, yeah. I assume that if this wouldn't have happened, I would have went to that ring with a damaged shin. I would have fought him injured,
Hmm.
especially the one from the third fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of nerve damage in that leg, so
Yeah.
that's why it blew up. So it's like no, but I don't know how the states are, but like in Europe, everybody's like going crazy.
Yeah, in the States it kind of like honestly the biggest thing here in the States is everybody wants to get their hair cut. Because the salons are shut down. So that's
Okay.
what I hear about is people not being able to get their hair done and their nails done. And
Oh, dude, if that's your biggest issue in life, you're doing pretty well, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Or
So
or or, or you're neglecting a lot of shit. But
well, what does the rest of the world say about the States? You
man,
know?
it's like, well, I just don't think they care a lot in Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, we see like a filtered version of the states. Like the general population in Europe has no idea what's happening in the states. The only
Hmm.
reason why I know what like I know what's happening in the states is because in Chiang Mai I had a training partner, and I'm not gonna go into the politics, but he told me certain things, and I was like, wait, that's not how we see it. Like this is
Hmm.
what you tell me is the opposite what they tell us in Europe, you know. So it's kind of all weird. I think the media is definitely bashing on Trump
Hmm.
in Europe. Like he's always a bad guy. The Russians and Trump are always bad. That's like
Yeah.
that's European media. And regardless of him being good or bad, I'm like, it's hard to form an honest opinion about the guy if you only see bad news, you know?
Hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's doing all right. I think that he just whatever pops into his head he says it. So whether it's something that sounds intelligent or something that sounds dumb, so and he just
Yeah.
throws it there. So and people the media will take it and run with it. So
Oh yeah. He's smart
he
in
just
that
doesn't
way, you know? Huh?
he just doesn't have a filter. So
No, he's a loose cannon. I also
yeah,
sometimes think he does it to like troll the media.
yeah. Oh yeah, I think so too.
Oh
Like
yeah.
imagine in that position where anything you say, somebody's going to take it and run with it. I'd mess with some people too.
Yeah, especially if they constantly say things about you that are not true. I would mess with them too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
So
but
I just think in general, like this isn't about Trump, but just like the world in general. I think
hmm
it's hard. I think it's hard to get like a proper view of the world without actually being in the spot which they are like talking about. Like
hmm
I think Thailand is a perfect example. When I came here first time, people were like, "Oh, you have to watch out. You know, lady boys are gonna try to rob you, and be careful at night. You know, it's a dangerous place, and this and that." And I came here, and yeah, of course, Thailand is known for their lady boys, but that's in the big cities like Bangkok and Pattaya.
just say
Like
late
here on the
boys.
yeah, they have lady boys. Yeah, that's pretty known here. But on the island, you have a couple, but they don't like, they're not, they're not annoying me or something. They don't even talk to me. They don't look at me. They don't
Uh
care
huh.
about me.
Talking about like
And
men dressed up as women.
yeah, I think some do sex change, but that's more Bangkok,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I call ladyboy here.
Yeah.
But it's like well accepted here. So I'm like, okay then. But like in Pattaya, they will probably try to annoy you. But it's like a lot of people have like this weird view of the world that doesn't add up with reality. It's
hmm
like you've never been in Thailand. Like how can you judge whether something is true or not? Like how do you know?
Yeah, until you're there. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and
Same
that's
with
why.
like
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, same with the states. Like in Europe, you have this stigma.
Mhm.
They always say this. They always say the same thing. It's like, America. Those are just the degenerates from Europe that came over, and it's like, well, I'm pretty sure some states because if you see what happens in Europe, it's like, well, it's like bad people everywhere. It's just
Mhm.
weird stigma. Yeah, it's a weird stigma.
Yeah, it's interesting. So
Yeah, I mean, I think Americans probably have that about Europeans or Thais as well.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Um, Aside from being very, self-centered, but I think you'll get that everywhere. So, but yeah, people have their own stigmas about probably every country. That they could almost sound racist, if you really dove into it. But I agree, until you've been there, you don't really know because the media can portray anything and make anybody look bad. So,
Oh yeah,
and that's why, like, just in general, not just talking about large groups of people, like, as the individual, like, I've learned not to be so judgmental. Like, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect now, that, I don't
yeah,
judge anybody. But, even when somebody's blatantly doing the wrong thing, it's still, I still have enough, I'm learning compassion, I guess, to think like, okay, well, something had to have happened to get them to this point. So, and they're on their journey too. So you kind of got to let everybody go through their process because you're not in their head and they're not in yours. So,
yeah. And they don't know where you come from, and I think that's something that a lot of people forget.
hmm
You know, like some people see like 10 seconds of a person, but those 10 seconds after those 10 seconds, it could be like, that guy is a jerk. And it's like
uh-huh.
you could have had a bad moment. The guy could have had a bad day.
Yep.
Might just have been a bad week. I don't know. There's so much stuff that plays into factor. You know, and I think we're kind of all guilty of that.
hmm Yep.
And it's
Yeah,
just,
I could agree.
yeah. But then again, some people are like, how do I put it? They they they're kind of stuck. They think like in boxes.
hmm
It's like, oh, this is politics are a perfect example. It's like when somebody starts to debate of politics, I mostly avoid it because I think it's all the same bullshit. They just want to have division. But
Yeah.
sometimes some people give say a vision about something, and I don't have to agree with that, even if I don't realize it's a political view because I'm not really into politics. So then they go like, oh, you don't agree with me. So if you don't agree with me, you're the opposite of what I am. I'm like, well, I I get what you're saying, but that doesn't make zero sense because I only disagree with one argument. So how can I be like the opposite of what you are if I only disagree with that? It's like, why don't you just try to cover my point of view on other things, you know? And it's
hmm
like, it's such a weird thing that like people put you into boxes and then they go like, oh, you're a right wing guy, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's like,
Yep. Like, no, I'm just me.
yeah, it's like, I guess I have some norms and values that align with it, but it's like, what does it mean? Like, what is you know? But in the states, they would call me Republican, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I identify as because there's a lot of, um, democratic liberal stuff that I don't agree with, like,
Yeah,
the late term abortions. Now, abortions in general, I don't believe in, but I could see a, you know, rape victim wanting it or incest victim or something like that. So, I
yeah,
mean, I
for
think
sure.
the case, but even so, I still think on a moral level, you know, killing any killing, of the innocent, any killing of anybody really is wrong. So,
Mm, yeah,
I mean, that's a
that's like
tough one,
that's
you know.
tough subject.
It's
Yeah,
hard
I know.
to debate,
In
but
yeah, we debated a lot on that in school when I was in high school and college. I was
mhm.
always, and I was always that was always a heated debate, and I always remember that. And it's so hard to pick a side. But recently, I watched an argument about it, and recently somebody said something very interesting. And it was basically like you say it's your body and your choice, but the thing that you're killing is not your body. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it's like, yeah, that changes kind of the perspective, and it still puts me in the middle. It's like abortion is so tricky because you can be 100% in favor of it, but also not 100% against it. Like you said, like what if you have a rape victim?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that'd be the only things that I could see. But I still, even then, I still disagree with it. You're still taking somebody's life.
Yeah.
So that's tough. I didn't mean to take the conversation that way, but I was just thinking
okay.
The left and the right. So, but that's a big reason why I stay on the right side. More the right wing side because. That's a big disagreement that I have. So, but from that, I can see both. I can see both points of views, and there's some Republican points of views that are awesome, and some that suck. Because
for sure.
Most Republicans are a bunch of. I mean, generally, a bunch of old rich white dudes. That they've been places, but they can't relate on the same scale to somebody who's at the bottom, working their way up. So, and then again, that's not all of them either. So.
No, I remember that when I was eligible to vote, I had to visit my grandfather like the weekend before I had to vote, and he said, sit down, and I was like, okay. He was like, listen to me. And he goes like, if you ever vote for the left, you will inherit zero money. And at that point, I didn't understand it because like in our school system, they basically push you like, socialism is good and the left is good and the right is bad. That's how the school system works in Belgium. Well, that's always how I perceive this. I might be wrong.
I think that's worldwide, man.
That could be. My mom was also
in America too. So.
Yeah, and my mom was like offended by that, and then he didn't explain it because I just didn't care. But later, when I was older and I kind of started to seeing things, I started asking him I was like, you'll never know my vote. I told him, but like, why did you say that? And he was like, look, man, the left has destroyed our country and Europe since after World War. He was like, the only thing they care about is filling their pockets. And I was like, that's interesting because like I didn't know that, like he knows. But I didn't know it like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
It's like pretty weird that they push that on you. Well, if I'm honest, I'm not that educated on politics at all. But I also think that a lot of people who think they aren't either.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than what we know. So.
Oh, for sure. Like you don't know everything,
Like I don't want to get too deep into conspiracies, but like what if all of our politics and everything was just a front, and maybe there's a group that's really running the world,
Well, Well, I think Bill Burr said it best, the comedian from Boston.
Mhm.
He was like, we all know who runs the world. It's not the politicians, it's the bankers. They have the money, so they have the power.
Yep.
And for some people that might suck, but I kind of think that's true because you have all these politicians who make like these they have this agenda with all these things like, oh, we're gonna do this, this, and this, and then they get elected and they do the exact opposite.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, yeah, but then
who's got the most money?
Yeah, it's also like this is an American thing. Like in America, apparently, candidates they get sponsors.
Mhm.
So if I'm like, well, if you run for president, then I pay you $5 million. I have some expectations of you when you get elected,
Yeah.
So that's probably why again agendas get pushed. I don't know how it works in Belgium, but it's all corrupt. It's all corrupt, man. In the end, left or right, I just don't think it gives a fuck. They just push an agenda, And
Yeah.
I just think it creates unnecessary division between people.
Mhm.
Well, that's like not only politics. Like you have the gender war that's going on right now. Like some women start to hate on men. I've seen that pass on Twitter where a woman was like, "I hope all men die from COVID-19." And I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Who hurt?" And I was like thinking, "Who hurt you?" But then you have the opposite with men, and I'm like, "See, this is going into the wrong direction. This is at both ends of the spectrum. This is going into extremes, and I don't think anyone will benefit from that."
Yeah. What do you think about like movements like the men going their own way movement, MGTOW?
I talked about it with a guy recently, and we kind of had the same opinion. I think you're just avoiding the problem. It's like
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're saying like all women are evil, so we avoid them. And then I'm like, are all women evil, like all of them, or are you the problem, but are you not willing to work on it?
Mhm.
Because I mean, I think it's fair to say that every man and every woman has probably been hurt while they were dating. Like women have broken my heart, you know. I've been cheated on. It's like it just happens, but I learned my lessons. And I think
Mhm.
some people get so caught up in like this whole I get hurt all the time because I don't learn a lesson that you get extreme movements like that.
Mhm.
Like why would you say fuck all women, like all of them?
So it's basically like here's my thoughts on it. Like in that situation, that's becoming a fake alpha, you
Okay.
know? Because
Yeah.
you're running from your problem rather than facing it by, generalizing people like that.
Yeah.
So, and I can't agree in this day and age that it's much easier and accessible to do the wrong thing, to cheat on your spouse, to cheat on your partner, whatever. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean, even though the opportunity is there, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to do it. So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that like going full MGTOW is kind of a cop out.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree on that. I like how you say that they're like fake alphas,
Mhm.
but the movement is getting a lot of popularity apparently. It's
Mhm.
like on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just every action has a counter reaction. I just think this is like the counter reaction to feminism. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you think about the Red Pill movement? Because that's somewhere in between.
Now, red pill, I'm 100% with, because
Yeah.
that's not the running from. That's just the being aware, you know.
Yeah.
So you're being on the outside of the matrix because then female nature, male
Yeah.
nature, it's just human nature,
Yeah.
and I think that red pill expands too with even beyond human nature, it's just seeing the
Mhm.
world for what it is.
Yeah.
So
It's like what I found with the Red Pill is like I find human nature very interesting. I think there's some good stuff in it, but I also think some of those guys are very resentful towards women. It's kind of like some guys are like also. I just have the feeling that some of those guys are like fake alphas as well.
hmm
Like you really have to be picky who you choose to listen to. I
yeah.
think because if you follow the mainstream ones,
hmm
sooner or later you're gonna be like, oh, wait a minute. Well, that's what I had. I was like, something is off.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Uh-huh.
like you're saying this, but you're doing this, and it's like,
hmm
like where is this going?
I think that like even too within the red pill, um, like you can be red pilled per se. You can see the world and know the world for what it is and know human nature, but
Yeah,
still carry on, like a beta, And I mean, I've had my
for
moments
sure.
because I would consider myself red pilled, just through experiences and, then opening up my eyes to what everything is. And I've
Yeah,
still fallen into traps, So, I've had moments of weakness or whatever.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I don't know. I agree with the red pill, blue pill stuff. So,
yeah.
but it takes
Well,
time to actually, you know, reinstill. If you've had 20 years of blue pill teaching, then all of a sudden you're awake to the red pill world.
yeah,
It's going to take you some time to adjust. It might take you a couple years, honestly.
For sure. Well, that's also
So,
like the Bruce Lee quote. It's like knowing is not enough. You must apply. I think it's
hmm
Bruce Lee. I think
yeah.
that is. I think this is like the Red Pill stuff. It's like you can read all the books. You can explore philosophy and psychology, all you want in the human mind. But if you don't try to apply it, well, then you're never gonna know. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people forget, or they get stuck somewhere in the middle because of a bad experience. It's like, yeah, it's easy to say red pill and blue pill, but in the end, you just if you go for the best version of yourself, you kind of figure it out along the way. I hope.
Yeah. Hopefully. So
Well, hopefully.
that's all we can do is strive to be, a better version of ourselves every day.
Yeah. Well, as most people should do, but
Yeah.
it takes work, and
It does
a lot of
take.
people don't.
It's discipline, and that's what a lot of people lack. Just like going to the gym, a lot of people say, "Well, how are you motivated to go to the gym all the time?" Or, "Well, right now it's do my home workout." It's like
Yeah.
I'm not always. I've just been disciplined enough that it's a part of my life. So
Yeah, it's autopilot. Like
mm,
when the clock hits 8, you just go to the gym. It's like
mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. I agree that a lot of people are lacking discipline and they rely way too much on motivation. And like people do the same thing with me. It's like, how do you spend so many hours in the gym? And I was like, well, first of all, fighting is a skill. It's like a game of chess. So this is different than fitness. So I have to spend a lot of hours in the gym. First of all, sharpening my tools, but also adding new tools to what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from that, like if you think that you're gonna be a great fighter or the best fighter ever, if you just do your workouts, your 2 trainings a day, and then just fuck off and do nothing else, I think you're
Mm-hmm.
highly mistaken. You're just gonna stop at one level. It's like you have to really, really, dedicate your life to the game, because in the end, when you step into the ring, there's the guy that wants to knee, elbow, and punch you in the face, and they
Yeah.
don't care. Like you're both in there to win.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can take a lot of damage. It's a dangerous sport, and for some reason, people don't. Yeah, I agree, it's fun, but for some reason, people seem to forget about the dangers. Like you can literally die in there.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's probably, I mean, probably a low percentage of people that die. It's maybe 10 people a year, but still, it's possible.
Still, potential's there. Yeah, you're putting your
Yeah,
life
the
on the.
potential is there. You're putting your life on the line for entertainment.
Basically, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, basically modern day gladiators. It's funny, but if you like it, but a lot
Yeah.
of people a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people a lot of people underestimate it.
Yeah. Yeah. What the danger? You mean?
Sorry?
Talking about they underestimate the danger?
No, they underestimate okay, so this is the first time I was here. I just finished my first fight, and there was a guy who came here, and he was kind of cocky, but cocky in the wrong way. That was not confidence. He was overestimating himself in every aspect of the game. So he came in and he was like, yeah, I have 2 fights. I'm undefeated. I want to go pro here. And we're all like, okay, nice to meet you too. So the next day he had his first workout, and I look at him, and I was like, that guy's completely out of shape. I was like, okay, some fighters are out of shape. Well, they look out of shape, but they can fight.
Uh-huh.
So then I saw him spar, and I was like, there's no way that he's gonna fight here. But then again, Thais sometimes want to teach you a lesson, so they give you a matchup that holds back on you. I've seen that happening here, but they will still beat you. They will just finish you with leg kicks or something. And so he had a fight coming up, and everybody was worried. And I came back into training, and some people were like, you should spar with him and just show him what it takes to go into your first fight. And he would avoid the sparring sessions with me. He was like, oh, I'm stretching, and he would always stretch until I had the private session or I had to do something else. And at one point I was like, he's never going to spar with me. Like, I'm going to stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody came to me and he was like, maybe you should just take him for a run and see where his cardio is at. Because if the cardio is good, he might win. I was like, yeah, we can do that. So we started running, and we run like 500 meters. I don't know how many miles that is. Less than a mile. And we go up the first hill. There are like 2 hills here on the run that all the fighters do, and the guy just gasses out on that hill, and I keep running. And suddenly, well, I didn't see him, so I start running back, and I see him just walking out the hill with his hands on his hips. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Do you want to fight and you just gas out on a hill? Like a hill makes you quit. What the fuck do you think you're gonna do in a hill? He's like, oh, bad moment, bad moment. And I was like, okay, well, you have a second hill that's coming up, you're gonna enjoy that one. So eventually he keeps running at like a very slow pace, and on that second hill, but that's a killer. But he stopped, and I was like, dude, you should never fight. Like, if that's your mindset, you shouldn't do it. And he didn't get it. Like, multiple people tried to explain it to him, like, you're not in shape, you don't have technique. So eventually his fight got cancelled, luckily.
Yeah.
But man, if he would have stepped into the ring, he would have taken a lot of damage, and that would have been very sad.
Yeah. So basically, he was just talking shit, and didn't have any to back it up.
Yeah, it's like, if you talk shit, you better back it up,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens when you have like the Conor McGregor era. Like, McGregor talked, but he backed it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's funny.
Yeah.
McGregor's last fight, everybody, like, there were so many people. I was at the barber shop. This is obviously before the world was shut down, getting trimmed up and everything, and like everybody in there, they were showing the, press conferences and stuff, and McGregor running his mouth, and that guy gets so much hate, and but he backs it up, and that's what I like about him. Other than the fact that we both have red beards, but I look up to McGregor because he's done some crazy stuff. He's made some mistakes, but I've done some crazy stuff, and I've made some mistakes. So as a human being, I think he runs his mouth to get that hype. I think it's even beyond confidence. I think that he has that confidence. He has that mindset that no matter what, he's going to win. But at the same time, I think that, it's that hype. The press is going to be talking more about him and what he's doing than anybody else because, he puts himself out there like that. So, it's almost like a pro wrestling promo. Back in the day, you'd have Macho Man Randy Savage up there, Hulk Hogan, those guys, so over the top. Conor McGregor is just like that, but he's, a real fighter in real life. There's no sports entertainment about it. But yeah, he backs up what he does, and I look up to him on that aspect.
Yeah. Well,
it's a lot of hate.
He's definitely a smart businessman. Like, he knew he came in in the game with like a plan. And I agree. He changed the game forever. Like, without him, I wouldn't be into MMA. So I have to thank him for that. I'm also, like, before the Khabib fight, I was a huge fan of him. I really loved it. When he fought Khabib, he kind of went overboard, I think, with his trash talk. You shouldn't talk about religion and family. But, that's just my opinion. But regarding his trash talk, so I can't talk for him because I've never heard him talk about it. But there's this documentary, The Last Dance. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't.
Oh man, it's amazing. It's about Michael Jordan and the Bulls in their last year.
Okay.
That's man. Everybody should watch that. If you're in
The
competition or just
Dance.
The Last Dance, yeah. It's on I think it's on Netflix. ESPN has it too. Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing, and you go into the mindset of Michael Jordan basically and his teammates. And at one point, Michael Jordan goes like, he's like, I didn't trash talk to get into the heads of the opponents. He was like, that worked. But he was like, I talk trash because I wanted to put pressure on me so that I would perform better. And I think a lot of people like don't understand this. But like, if you're a competitor and you want to win, like, you don't give a shit about your opponent. Like, your only opponent is you, and you might as well put some pressure on you. Like, my best out of the 3 fights, my best fights were the ones where I talked a little bit more trash. Put pressure on myself, and went out and was like, fuck this shit. I'm just focusing on me. I'm my own opponent. And people were like, so my second fight, I was more humble. People disagree, but that's not true because I know what was going on in my head. I was way more humble before that second fight. I just did a fancy walkout, but I was way more humble, and it just doesn't work for me. Like, I didn't show up on that fight, and I was like, fuck.
So you got to come out. You got to come out like McGregor, you know?
Yeah.
I
just have to.
And being cocky.
Yeah, just well, I wouldn't call it cocky.
I think it changes your mindset a little bit, though. You know? Yeah, I'm confident.
Yeah.
Confident. I guess there's a fine line between being confident and being cocky, but
Well, my thing is like, if you're cocky, well, this is what I perceive as cocky. If you and me would fight, and you would tell me that you think I'm an easy fight, then I would perceive you as cocky because you underestimate my skills.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
If you would talk trash to me, you're confident, you would, for example, say, well, I've seen holes in your game. I know where they are, and I'm going to exploit them because I have the style to beat you. I think that's confidence. And I've never walked into a fight thinking like this is going to be an easy fight. Man, they're tied. They all have over 100 fights. Like, why would I step to the ring and be like, this is going to be an easy payday? You're like, no. And then another thing is, like, if you have extremes, if you have things far out of the spectrum, you know, you have like left and right, then people at one side might find the other side extreme. You know, it's like politics. But if you have a person that is generally very insecure, and suddenly you see somebody with a lot of confidence, that's like extremes. And I think they kind of label it as cocky.
Mm-hmm.
To feel better about themselves. Because if you're cocky or arrogant, that's something that you don't want. You know. So why would they try to be you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. It's just an opinion. I don't know if it's true, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a mindset. I think it's all, you know, a mindset. You know, sometimes, like if you believe your own hype, you know, you might come out there and I don't know. I guess it's person to person, because there could be other people that, you know, run their mouths and are as confident as McGregor, and they don't have anything to back it up. And it's just, you know.
Yeah, they are there too. I also just think it's a personality trait as well.
Yeah.
Like there's a guy here at the gym, and he's an amazing fighter, but he never runs his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
He has amazing skills. He just doesn't do it. And I'm like, you should be yourself. Like, I told him, like, I know I'm the more vocal guy than you, but you should be you. Like, I appreciate that too. If you're authentic, I love it.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah. I mean, that's even like in the gym. You know, some people, you know, will say powerlifting more so than bodybuilding, because bodybuilding, you know, that's the reps, that's the time under tension. You know, you don't gotta really get too hyped up for that. But you know, we'll take a look at powerlifters going for like a max deadlift. There will be the guys that are pacing back and forth, listening to heavy metal music, you know, breaking the ammonia capsules and, you know, taking that big whiff and going up and ripping 600 pounds off the ground. And then there's the other guy who, you know, looks like you know, he has the same demeanor as a monk, you know, just calm, cool, and collected, and goes and lifts the same weight, you know. So it's probably the same way, you know. We got the monks versus the berserkers, basically, you know, but they both achieve in the same state. So just different means.
Yeah. I just think it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Maybe upbringing. I don't know. I don't really believe that you're born in a certain way. I think upbringing has something to do with it as well. Like, if you look at the best martial artist in the world right now, the best MMA fighter in the world. Well, you can argue about it, but I would say it's Mighty Mouse. The guy never talks trash. He's always humble. He's a family man, and he's amazing. I love it when he fights, and I think the UFC pushed him in the wrong way. They eventually traded him for somebody else who was a better talker. He was very entertaining, but he never, you know, he lost 3 fights, I think, and then retired. I mean, I loved it. You know, he was a nice addition, but I'm like, they should push people more to be themselves. But I understand what they want. They want entertainment. They want money. So, but yeah, I think it's a personality thing. And regardless of that, you can be a high achiever even if you're kind of humble. Like Mighty Mouse, he's definitely a high achiever. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a. I don't think there's like a one way to success. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I do better when I'm more overtly confident, you
Yeah.
know? So, but again, that's me. Like, I can do more and achieve more when I'm, confident and showing my confidence, whether that comes to, in the gym, in social situations with girls,
Yeah.
regardless, when I'm outwardly more confident, then, that, but I counterbalance that with, the spiritual side of things, the more calm. I actually had an interesting conversation with somebody yesterday who was dealing with anxiety. And, I said, man, it's because you got to be yin and yang, you got to have your moments where, I know this dude, shoots a lot of guns, lift weights, smokes cigarettes, rides motorcycles, like all, kind of hard ass, manly, get in there and get
Yeah.
it done stuff. Smoking's not good for you, but it's just that whole image. I said,
Yeah.
I said, do all that. I said, but you got to take your time to step back and pray and meditate and get your sleep and eat well,
Yeah.
and take long walks. And this was all when I was on a long walk yesterday. And I've found that helps keep you balanced. Um, so for me, like when I'm getting ready to lift a big weight, I'm the guy that's blasting the heavy metal music and snorting the ammonia capsule and getting fired up. you know but I have to take my moments too
Yeah.
where where I just calm down. And
Yeah.
I've found, and I know we talked about a little bit this outside the call, walking to me has become like a form of meditation. So walking with no music, just by yourself, and really being in the moment, enjoying where you are and smelling things and feeling the wind on you and feeling, yesterday it was raining. It's raining again outside right now. Even just walking in the rain, which, to some would be depressing. I was just like so in the moment. It really felt beautiful. So, it was good. I think that we need both. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because like I wrote a blog post about it like a while ago, but like at one point I was like, meditation really sucks. Like if you look at it, like everybody who promotes meditation, they sit on their ass. Well, the way they know. It's like you sit on your ass for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. You close your eyes, you just breathe. You don't do anything. Then you're like, oh, I'm zen now. But then those are the same people who like they will put like a 30-minute Instagram story online about how somebody hated on their business, or they would freak out in like traffic, or they will yell at their spouse for something they never should have yelled for, And it's like, how zen are you? Like, are you just buying all this hype, or are you really like trying to be like a better person? And what I noticed, and I have the same thing with you, is like I think humans have become so disconnected with everything around them, and even more with themselves, because we're like always on. It's like you do your hobby or your job, and like it's always like all this input, and then you go home and you put on your headphones and you're on your phone 24/7 with like these fucking notifications, and it's like, how much time do you set aside in a day to like sit by yourself, you know? Like I regularly watch sunsets here.
yeah.
That's yeah, that's like my most used form of meditation. Like either go to a viewpoint here or watch sunsets, and I think freaking amazing, man.
Mhm.
Well, besides all these freaking Instagram models and hipsters and whatever the fuck they are with their Instagram boyfriends, it's like, this picture doesn't suit you, and I'm like, it's like, just go to another beach.
Mhm.
And it's like those are pretty present on the island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's still merit to like the seated meditation, focusing on your breathing, but that's more like mind training, and that, just the focus on your breath and let the thoughts come and go. I think that helps keep you on your path, because then you can see your trajectory, where you're going, and
Yeah.
stick with it. Like, even if it's just that 10 minutes to, in and out and in and out, just focus on your breathing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely get more out of the active meditation stuff,
Yeah. Same.
the walks, or, even doing a high rep workout, just
Yeah.
focus on your breath and keep pushing,
Yeah.
throughout. So
I, for- I forgot who said it, but there's like a philosopher who said like nature is medicine or something, or let nature be their medicine. Well, it doesn't
I,
matter who said it, but uh, the quote is something like that. And it's like I think if you want to do seated meditation, I would like try to find a spot in nature where it's like quiet
yeah.
and just do the same thing as you would meditate, but keep your eyes open and just enjoy. Because you'd be surprised what thoughts pop up when you sit in nature. There's
Mhm.
something deeply relaxing about, like, for example, just sitting in the jungle or like the viewpoint. That's my meditation spot. I just
Yeah.
sit there and I see like a huge part of the island, and it's like, yeah, this is amazing. Like I have a lot of insights back there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's crazy that
So,
you're literally going out to the jungle to meditate.
well, yeah, it's like 70% of the island is like jungle. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
yeah.
awesome. So you're definitely in a different position than most people that I talk to. You know.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I've disconnected from a lot of things, and I think for me it was beneficial. You know, like
Mhm.
people don't understand this, but like the first time I came back from Thailand after living here for 3 months, like I couldn't function anymore in a Western society, like a job, because you're so used to like people like, oh, you just had a 3 month holiday, but I was like, this was not a holiday. Like I was there 3 months training my butt off, and it's like, oh, but you still had your hobby, And it's like, well, we can argue about whether it was a hobby or not, and we can argue about how much work I put in it. And I understand that you don't see training in the gym as work, but yes,
Mhm.
it is. I was tired too in between. And then people go like, oh, but now you can finally go to your normal job again. And so I had a job, and like as soon as I started working like in normal jobs again, I just noticed how stressful those jobs were, and like how stressed people are in general. Like my whole body was stuck, and that's something that I never realized before that. And that's just one of the things, you know.
Mhm.
Like being in Thailand right now during this COVID crisis is probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because I've seen how a society can thrive. Like when this COVID crisis broke out here in the beginning, like the trainers were kind of like they were kind of bummed out because they didn't get paid and because they're not working and they kind of got bored. But eventually it was pretty interesting to see because like they know nothing about men go their own way and feminism and like that's all surreal for them. They don't know about that. So
Mhm.
what you started to see was they would pick up like the gender roles from back in the day. Like literally the men would go fishing, looking for food, or they would hunt lizards or something, and then the women they would be in the kitchen and they would clean and they would take care of the kids and then sometimes the men would come in and take care of the kids. It's like a little tribe, and it's pretty interesting to see how like how these people naturally fall into those roles without society pushing them into it. It's like
Mhm.
this is natural.
Yeah. Yep. It's a different world.
Yes, I think Thailand is definitely a different world. Yes,
Mhm.
I think especially the Saudis of Thailand because they're very family oriented. They have like
Yeah.
the gym is literally like a tribe. So there is like the head coach, his brother is here and he has a kid together with his wife or girlfriend. I don't know if they're married. I like because the brother works in the garden a lot and the wife she's in the kitchen a lot because she cooks for the trainers and some of the students if they want food. And sometimes the trainers will just come in and take care of the kid. Like that kid goes around in the gym, like with the trainers and the wives of the trainers, and like they all take care of him to make sure that the parents get some rest too. And
Mhm.
in the beginning, In the beginning, I didn't understand that. I made a joke about it. I was like, one day you're gonna give that kid to the wrong person, and this kid is gonna disappear. And they all laughed at me, and they were like, you don't understand. They were like, Falang Maluluyang, and I was like, what? How do you mean I don't understand? And I used my eyes, and I just saw things that would never happen in the West, and it's like, that's when I realized how divided we are in the West.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's
and
like,
I think that they deliberately divide us in the West.
oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's like part of their schemes.
I mean, you can, if you
Keep
open
us,
your eyes to,
keep us divided, keep people poor, push socialist agendas, push feminism, and then to counteract it, now we got the extreme MGTOW guys.
yeah,
So, whereas if we would just sit back and, come from a place of love and try and be halfway decent human beings, then I think we'd be a lot better off. But we're also connected with the media, and I don't know, we're too connected in the physical and not connected enough like in a spiritual sense.
yeah.
So,
You know what? Yeah, it's like, you know what the sad thing is? Like, I think all these movements, whether it's feminism, veganism, or religions or whatever, I think they all start off with like a good idea. I think the core of it was good. Like, women want to vote. Well, okay, no issue with that.
yeah.
People want to eat healthier. I have no issue with that. Like religions, be a good person. I have no issue with that. But then over time, there's just corruption that goes into the system, and like some feminists are like basically men haters. And I'm like, well, that's not a good thing. And then
Mhm.
the veganists suddenly start to hate on people who eat meat, and I'm like, well, that's not a solution either. And then men
Uh,
go their own way, they hate on women, and I'm like, well, you basically have these them versus us movements, and if you're not with them, you're against them, and it's like, this is like the biggest bullshit I ever heard. And then you have all these documentaries that push their agenda, where I'm like, this is basic propaganda. This is not documentary. It's like it's all bullshit, and it's like I'm kind of sick of the division, to be honest. But I also think that right now we're at a point where all these movements have been pushed and have been pushed to such extremes that they're gonna that their downfall is set or is gonna happen soon. Like more and more people are going away from stuff that's happening in the West. Like I know women younger than me, so early 20s, and they're like, we don't want to have anything to do with feminism.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, it's like I understand. It's like you have to define feminism before you offend somebody. Because if they go like, "What do you think of feminism?" It's like, "What do you define as feminism?" Because if you want equal rights, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem."
Mhm.
You know. But if you
Yeah.
go like, I hate on men," well, then you have a problem.
Yeah, that's the extreme feminism
Yeah,
that we're
yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
And it's also
So,
like, do you want like everything the same? Like, do you want to be treated as a man? Like, I think that's something that we should ask ourselves. Man and
mhm.
woman. Like, do we want everything equal? Well, this is my vision. I think both genders have like strengths that the other
Mhm.
gender doesn't possess, and I think they just align. It's like I've seen women do things that I can never do. Well, not as good as them, and opposite.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I know I'm.
Yeah, I think we need both,
Yeah, you
On
need. Yeah,
so,
as much as we don't like to admit it, genders just need each other.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I
You can't have it.
enjoy having a woman in my life. So,
Yeah,
for and
good.
more yeah, there's a lot of guys that go out there and they just want to hook up and this and that, and like, that's
I mean,
cool, fun, but is that truly fulfilling? So,
I mean, it's all for some guys. It's all a numbers game. And it's like, well, if you want to have like hundreds, up to the hundreds of women, I'm like, it's good for you, and I guess you might enjoy it. I see it as less meaningful as well. But
yeah.
like, it's always fun. It's always funny because all those guys are the same. Like they have this huge number, and then they go like, that's their like, their 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 stick or whatever you want to call it, their bread and butter, and then they go like, I had this conversation. This happened in Thailand. they were sitting at the table and they were talking about hookups and stuff, and three guys and one girl, and they were all like showboating about the numbers. And I was just sitting there and I was like, whatever. And then
Uh-huh.
suddenly they look at me and they're like, what about you? And I was like, look, I don't care. Like, it's just a numbers game. It's like, sure, I have my fun, but for me, it doesn't matter. And then, they were like, oh, he doesn't want to showboat. And I'm like, whatever. And they just kept talking, and suddenly they look at me and they're like, how long are you here for? And I was like, well, I arrived in Thailand since the end of September. And then they go like, how do you do that? And I was like, well, you just told me what you did. I did the exact opposite. And then they go like, oh, you know? It's like I don't know. I think you need to find a healthy balance and everything. If you work too much, you don't have a life. If you hook up all the time, you don't have a life. There's like a thin line between everything. Like do your work, relax a little bit, have your fun on the side if you're single. If you want to do that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but just don't overdo it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like yeah, it's fun or whatever, but you're missing a certain level of connection because you're always looking towards the next thing. I don't know. I mean, that's just my opinion because I've been in, really long relationship and I've been in, short little, just
Yeah, we know.
what
We
do
all
we
have
call
them.
what do we call them? Flings? Like
Links, hookups, yeah, whatever.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's no real connection in a fling versus actually getting to know somebody, and finding what you like about them and, and accepting and being non-judgmental of the things that you don't like and learning about a person. And I don't know. It's just a whole different dynamic. Like everybody knows who Dan Bilzerian is,
Yeah,
another fellow bearded guy. But
yeah,
like that dude lives the life. He's got all these cars, guns, you know, hundreds of different women in and out all the time. But is he really fulfilled? I don't know. That's a question for him. But I wonder. I try and put myself in that position. Like, is it really possible to build a connection with somebody living that type of life?
well, it's funny because he's been vocal about wanting to start a family. I don't know how old he is. Like I know him, but I don't know him that well. But there's like a lot of probably 40s.
Yeah.
But you
Well,
had like this that you had like that famous pickup artist like Rouge V,
mm-hmm.
who suddenly I think he turned Christian right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the people have been vocal about it. They're like, well, look, you can be, apparently he was like more of a scam artist and a pickup artist.
Oh
That
yeah.
that's the rumor that goes around. That instead of like, he just slept around with the women that were the easiest apparently. But that's not healthy, man. If yeah, the risk is like he fucked himself up.
Yeah. Isn't it
Yeah,
interesting? Like, Rushvi, he had that conversion, gave his life to Christ or whatever, and now he's on a new path. And then
yeah,
also, I know that you and I both were fans of Bold and Determined when we got into our
yeah,
our blogging stuff, learning how to blog
yeah,
and um even Victor Pride, who now is, just goes by his real name of Nicholas, now he found God, he found Christ in South America or wherever he was. And, he went through that same process. He lived this crazy, lavish life, made a bunch of money, went over to, all these Asian countries and did his
yeah,
thing. And then he found God. And now all of a sudden he's just like, totally, totally different.
yeah. He
It's,
sounds a little bit. I don't know. He sounds indoctrinated. I don't know. There's something off with him. It's
yeah,
very weird. I don't know. It's like he's brainwashed. I don't know. I don't know what happened to him, but
yeah,
there's something very weird with him. My perspective on that is I have the same perspective with both of them. And if you do everything, in a hedonistic way, if you constantly seek for that pleasure, whether it's money, women, fame, whatever, that's gonna
mm,
avenge it because that's like a hollow goal. And at one point, that's gonna hit you so hard, it's gonna go from one extreme to the other. And that's kind of when I think when people get like extremely religious, because like, oh, I fucked up my life, and I found God again, and whatever. Like, I'm not a religious person, so for me, it's like kind of weird. Like, I just don't identify with one religion. I think all religions have something good.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I believe there is something. I just don't label it as God or whatever you want to call it. But I think if you live a healthy life where you're not it's hard, You have to be obsessed, but you can't be obsessed with like the external things like women, money, fame.
Mhm.
I think you're just gonna feel so hollow that it's gonna avenge itself.
It seems like if you're not obsessed with those things, then you'll be blessed with them. You know, not necessarily, wanting to be, have, a high number, hundreds of women or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
when you're not looking, it seems like, maybe that one's gonna show up. The one right
Yeah.
one. But um, or if your sole goal is making money, change your goal to helping people, and then the money will end up coming. So just like your blog, it's self-development. It's all self-development stuff.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward, and here you are living in the rainforest with this crazy opportunity that so many other people don't have and can't understand. There's so many people who can't even see that. Like, I still work my regular job. I need my benefits. I have 2 kids that have benefits. I do my Sweet Machine fitness stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm going to build that up to, my financial freedom. But at this point right now, I'm at that job, and the people there, so many of them, there's a lot of people there that I really, really like. I really hit it off with, but
Yeah.
they're so like stuck, I guess you say, on that, like that there's nothing else out there. Like, there's no point in even talking about, oh, I have this goal or that goal, because, they just can't see it. They can't even resonate on the same level. So,
Yeah.
but, we're out here doing it. You're proof. You quit your job, and now you're living in the jungle. So yeah, twice. Dropped out of college, quit some jobs.
Yeah, no. So my thing is, like, I always say count your blessings, and I tweeted this yesterday. It's like if you're not happy with where you are, you don't appreciate what you have. And I think like just everybody has different blessings, and it's always easy to look at like other people's life. Like, you have 2 kids, and like down the line I want a family, and I could be jealous of you having kids. But then I'm like, if I would have kids, I would never be here. I would have never been able to do this. So the fact that I'm still single has helped me a lot to like make these decisions of like leaving Belgium, coming to Thailand, pursuing my dream of fighting. And it's like this was a blessing, although it didn't always feel like a blessing. Like, now I know how blessed I am in that regard, and I know somebody will come along down the road, But then you have kids, and I think that's something that's a blessing that I don't have. But because I don't have it right now, I also don't really miss it, And I think that's the issue with a lot of people. They always want what they don't have. I think it's so stupid. Like, if you are happy with what you have and you just make the most out of it, like having 2 kids and not being here where I am right now doesn't mean that you'll never be successful. You can still be successful. Maybe you become even more successful than me, especially in the blogging thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So it's a different definition of success.
Yeah, it's different. You got your kids young, and I just had a shitty relationship when I was young, and it didn't work out. And it's like, okay, like everybody has like their own path, and I think people should appreciate more the journey they're on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean,
like,
both of my kids will be adults by the time I'm 40. So.
yeah, see, I will never have that. But
Yeah.
that's okay too. Yeah. Because you in your 40s, you will enjoy life, because by then you'll be set with your blog and your fitness business. Well, when I hit my 40s, if everything, maybe my kids will be 5. I'll be changing, or maybe 2. Maybe I'll be changing diapers when I'm 40.
Yeah.
And I will see it as a blessing too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is pretty wild. There's a guy. He's a I know I mentioned that I'm still working. You know, I work
Yeah.
with some airplane stuff, so that's an essential job here in America. But there was a guy in there. The way that we do it, we have these big molds and we put fiberglass in these molds. So, but after them being cooked and cooled down and cooked and cooled down so many times, these molds need the upkeep. And so this guy came in, he was doing the upkeep. I was talking to him. He's 62 years old and he has a 7-year old.
Sure.
And I was just thinking like how crazy that is, how we have kids the same age, but he's at, you know, this point in his life and I'm at this point in my life, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just wild. And I was like, how did that happen? He's like, well, obviously, you know, he's like, obviously, and he's like, but you know, just talking about how blessed he was to have a son, you know,
Yeah.
even though he's at that age, you know, didn't have any kids all his life, and then all of a sudden he has a kid, you know, but he's in a different position where he's actually about to retire, you know,
Yeah.
and so he's got all this time to invest into his kids because he's
Yeah.
at the end of that journey, whereas I'm, you know, still amidst the journey, you know, so
Mm.
I have to have that hustle, so I can't give my full undivided attention to my kids, you know,
Yeah.
where this guy has the opportunity because he's at that point in his life to, you know, fully devote to, you know, raising his son, which is awesome, you know, and you know, but by the time I'm his age, you know, I'll probably have, you know, grandkids that are half
Yeah.
grown. You know, it's just
Yeah.
how how we're all
Yeah.
blessed for different reasons and different situations. And you know, like would my business and stuff pick up a lot quicker if I didn't have kids? Of course, I'd be able to devote more time into it, but
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't trade my kids in for the world. Those are huge blessings. Like the thing you tagged me in on Instagram the other day, you know, in the story about 3 things you're grateful for. You know,
Yeah.
my number one on the list was my kids, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
So, and I mean, and it's just wild. And I know eventually, I'm sure you'll probably have kids, and then you'll know. You know, it's just totally changes your life, and then that's a whole different level of love than, you know, I always talk about there's different kinds of love. I don't know if we've ever talked about that. Like, you know, there's the love you have for your family. You know, you say your parents and your aunts and grandparents. You know, there's the type of love you have for a significant other. You know, whatever woman that's in your life, as long as you're
Yeah.
not too MGTOW or shut down to experience that. You
Yeah.
know, and then you know the love you have for yourself, the love you have for God, but you know, the love you have for your kids is a whole different, you know, experience. You know, this like totally unconditional thing where it's, I don't know, it's just wild. You'll you'll know someday.
Yeah. It's like I would say I understand, but I just don't. I don't know what it feels like. I can kind of imagine. I had recently a guy on the podcast. He's a fighter, and I asked him like, how was the lockdown? He was like, this is amazing. I can spend so much time with my kids and my wife.
Mhm.
I was like, well, yeah, I kind of understand. It was probably because I want a family down the line. I just think that a lot of people, they'll have like, oh, I don't want to have kids. I want to be free. And I just think at one point it's just gonna bite them in the ass. They're fucking hard.
Mhm.
It's like because also the reason why people don't want kids are so stupid. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want kids because the world is a fucked up place. And it's like, yeah, shut up and make it better. You know?
Yeah. Uh huh.
It's like, oh,
Yep.
I don't want kids because the world is overpopulated. And it's like, well, I've seen studies where they claim that it's not as overpopulated as they say. So it's like, all this shit is contradictory anyways. Why not, set the example and then, you know, feel the love that you talk about and then eventually make sure that you raise kids. Those kids can learn from your mistakes. Like
Mhm.
if you're doing parenting right, in my opinion, your kids should be way more successful than you because they should learn all the lessons and they can learn from your hardships in life.
Mhm. Yep.
You know, they have, if you treat this right, your kids are, whatever they want to do, they're going to be so much more successful, you
Mhm.
know. But I think most people are like kind of stuck. It's like, oh, society pushes you out, you have to be married at this age, you have to have kids at this age. I just think most people, they're kids themselves. Even I consider myself a kid. Dude, if I
Mhm.
would have a kid, now, I think I would go crazy. Like,
Oh
jeez,
yeah.
I still, I still have to figure shit out myself.
Uh huh. Yeah.
My longest relationship is 2 years. What the fuck would I do with what would I do with a kid?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's like, and then you have these people who like don't have the shit together financially and mentally, and well, every aspect in their life is fucked up. I'm like, yeah, let's have a kid because for whatever reason. I'm like, well, that's weird.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of child abuse, man. If you don't know how to raise a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. So, but yeah, I'm sure it's something you'll experience someday. So,
Oh
I
yeah,
was just looking through some art my kids made, and
okay.
it's just crazy. I know that you I know this is audio, but I'll show you on the
No, no, it will be video. So
will be video too.
yeah, it will be on YouTube in the video. I don't do audio anymore. I only do video now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, here I'll show you this real quick. Like, there it is.
Yeah, here. Okay. Wait, it's not that sharp.
Yeah, it's not sharp. I'm trying. And like
Oh, now you can see it. Dude, that's amazing.
just the colors. There we go. Like it's going in and out, but
Yeah.
it just looks. It's so good. Like, and I'm a halfway decent artist too. Like I'll show you. Here's a sketch that I did a little bit ago.
Yeah, I have to keep it a little bit further. No, no,
Yeah.
back. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm trying. So I mean, that's for like a t-shirt design I have coming out. So
Mm.
so what I do is make my rough draft and I'll send it to an actual artist and they'll perfect it
Yeah.
for me. But yeah, it's just crazy the little things that you see in your kids too from yourself. Like I'm a good artist and then I see that and I'm like yep, chip off the old block there. As they say.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just interesting
Do
how.
you, do you, do you believe in like talent?
Yeah, I believe that, some people just have natural talent with things.
Natural talent? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what my natural talent would be if I followed my parents.
Yeah, I don't
Like
know.
fighting came natural to me. I always say this. Like fighting came pretty natural to me, but
Hmm.
I always think that fighting came natural to me because I just wanted to do it from a young age. Like I was always just drawn to the sport. I don't know why. Man, when I saw Bruce Lee on TV for the first time, and I saw that scene from Enter the Dragon where he like spreads his lats and then
Oh
just
yeah.
whoop everybody's ass, he just whoops everybody's ass. Man, when I saw it for the first time, I was jumping and kicking in the living room, and my mom was like, "Oh, motherfucker, what? We have to deal with this now, because I was jumping on everything, and then I did a summer camp where they built martial arts, and eventually I got into karate, and then that's when I was competitive since I was a little kid, man.
Hmm.
When I started, I was like, I want to compete, and they're like, yeah, first you have to get better. And I was like, okay, I'll just train. That was like easy for me. Like even at that age, I could understand that just to train before we can compete. And then I dedicated a lot of time to it, and then when it was time for me to be able to compete, I was like, I want to compete, and they're like, no, we don't let you compete. And then they forced me into another year, and I was like, why am I doing this? Like there is no goal. And I was like 14. And I was like, I don't enjoy this anymore. There is no point for me in doing this. And then I remember like my I think it was my father who lectured me. It was like you always want to be the best, and it's like that's such a bad trait. And now reflecting on it, I was like, how is that a bad trait? Like that's
Yeah, I don't think
my
that's a bad.
no, it's like in everything I do, I want to be the best. I want to be the best fighter. I want to be the best version of me. It's like just in everything. I just set standards for myself, and some people don't understand that. I'm always competing with me, you know. I'm like, I don't understand why people don't understand that. It's like, how are you otherwise gonna be the best version of yourself, you know? It's like competition makes you better as a person. Competition makes societies better. Competition makes societies better.
Mhm. Yep. I mean, and back to like Conor McGregor, you know, he uses like that Kaizen approach, which is getting just a little bit better every day. So,
Yeah.
you know, say your goal was to do, you know, 10,000 pull-ups. You know, it's today you did 900, next workout you do 901, you know, as long as you're constantly progressing, you know, even if it's just baby steps, you know, you're going to get better. So, yeah, I don't see any negative quality in being your best. Like that's ridiculous. So,
Yeah. Maybe some people are like afraid that they will see that if you put in the work, that you're gonna actually surpass them. I remember when I started my journey, so people would see me as very insecure, which I was back in the day. But as soon as I got confidence, like I was very surprised at like the people who attacked me. Like they would attack my confidence, and they would do, and mostly guys, they would do everything to keep me in that, the hierarchy. They wanted to keep me at that bottom, and I was like, motherfuckers, no. Like, and eventually, there was one guy, and he was bigger than me, and I'll never forget this. This was like the World Championships of soccer, and he was drunk. And he was like, oh, this guy is so confident, and he pushed me, and I think he has like 40 pounds on me, and I just pushed him back, and he was so surprised that I pushed him back that he went to his girlfriend and started nagging, and she was like, he's smaller than you. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he looked very bad that day, and since then we kind of have we don't get along that well anymore. So I'm like, dude, you can't, if you're not willing to put in the work, you can't complain that I'm surpassing you in every aspect of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like
Truth.
the same.
Yep.
The same goes for jobs, man. If we just stop all this bullshit and just make paychecks like performance based, like look what's gonna happen. Like nobody can complain anymore if you have performance based paychecks. Like, well, if a man outworks you, well then he gets more. If a woman outworks you, well then she gets more. And I also think it's better for the workforce. If I outwork you, if I do the work that you do in 8 hours and 4 hours, well, I should earn more. I'm way more beneficial for a company. I generate more money. I didn't get that people would be against it. Well, I understand why they're against it. They have to work harder. Most people don't want to compete.
Don't work hard.
No, they want to be comfortable. It's like, oh, I can live with this small paycheck. And I'm like, if you would work harder, you would earn more.
Yep. Yeah, people just want to skate by. So, like, I work in a union shop, and, I'm not going to say that I'm gung-ho, the best employee all the time, knocking stuff out 100% of the time, but, I get where you're coming from, one guy can do excellent work, put out, like 8 hours worth of work in 4. Maybe I'll put out 8 hours worth in 6, and then the next person puts out 8 hours, in like 12. So they're behind, but we're all making the same rate regardless. So so maybe the dude that's putting in, and I specifically am thinking of a guy right now, our lead, because that dude busts his ass like all the time. Like we work in conditioning, and the dude's sweating. Like, sometimes I'm like, dude, chill out. Like, it's not like that. But, he should get a bigger bonus than what the person who's, just coming in and clocking in and hanging out in the bathroom all day,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. I remember working in a meat factory. It was 2018, 2017, something like that. I worked there for like a couple of months, and I remember that at one point, my colleague, she had a day off, or an afternoon off, probably an afternoon. So in the afternoon, I was alone. And at one point, they were like, just do that. And I was like, okay. So I started, and at 2 o'clock, I was like, hey, I'm finished. And they look at me, and they were like, how do you mean? I was like, well, my job is done. Like, you asked me to do this, and I finished it. And I go like, oh, well, you need to do that until 5. And I was like, well, I've done it now. I'm
Yeah.
done. Like, what do you want me to do? And like, oh, we don't have a job for you. And I was like, so I can go home? Like, no, we didn't pay you for that. And I was like, well, you have to let me do something. Like, I'm not gonna do something meaningless, you know? And they're like, oh, you can make like boxes. And I was like, you think I'm gonna make boxes for 2 hours? Like, no, you're gonna give me something decent. Like, and eventually they put me in another section and helped there. And a week later I got fired.
Weird.
Yeah, nah, it was weird, man. I was kind of vocal about certain stuff. Like, there was like this old guy. He was like, he was an asshole. So there were 4 people in that section, and you always work in pairs. And he was like in his 60s, and he would always pick the most beautiful girl to work with him. And he would just do all the work and try to impress her. But at one point, I had to work with him. But I wasn't a beautiful girl, so he was like, oh, well, you're young, you're gonna do all the work now. But I was training, so I and you had to tilt heavy boxes and stuff. So at one point I was like, well, look, dude, this is like a 2-man's job. Do your job as well. If we do this together, this is gonna go way quicker, and this is gonna be way easier. And he was like, you're young, I'm old, and I was like, look, dude, I see you when you work with women. Yeah, you do all the work, and that's not a solution either. Just work as a team. And then eventually he got sick of me, and they got rid of me at that section, and then he just tossed me around for a week. And at the end of the week, that boss came to me and was like, yeah, we don't have a lot of work. I think we don't need you next week. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I danced, man. I was so happy I was gone. I was like, fuck, finally. And the week after that, one of my buddies, he picked up my spot.
Oh, for real? Is he still?
Yeah, it was same company, same job. He was working with the old guy. And he talked about it. He was like, yeah, this guy's exploiting me. And I was like, yeah, no. He got fired after 2 weeks. He did even better than me because he knew everything from me. We talked about it, and I was like, oh man, it's just me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Jobs kind of suck.
I mean, my first job was kind of nice. It had its downsides, but like, if I'm honest, I didn't have a lot of complaints about it. The only complaint that I had was that I couldn't train because I had long hours. And I negotiated about that because they wanted me to keep me longer. I worked for a supplement company, but that was probably my most interesting job that I ever had because like I was working with a businessman that had started multiple companies from scratch, and he was rich. He was freaking rich, and I just picked his brain, and I learned a lot from him, like business-wise, and he always said the same thing. Like, I remember that he at one point told me, like, look, man, if you have a company after 7 years, if it's successful, you have to evaluate, he said. And he said, if you don't like it anymore after 7 years, you sell it. And a year later, he sold it.
Mm-hmm.
That was when he hit the 7 years. But, like, business-wise,
Like
he
the
taught me a lot of...
that they talk about with marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. He always used that rule, and he had sold multiple companies, and it's like, but also just I remember he was such a nice guy, but when it came to business, that was ruthless.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I had some ideas for supplements, and he wanted to he was like, okay, give me all yours, he'd give me the ideas on paper, and I'll look at them. I was like, no, first we're gonna negotiate. Because you're not getting my ideas. Like, I want to make sure that I get my piece of the cake as well. We never agreed on that, because he probably knew by then that he wasn't going to invest a lot of money anymore. But yeah, he was very nice, but ruthless when it came to business, but always correct. He's probably the best boss that I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he knew what he was doing.
Sorry?
He was the best because he knew what he was doing.
Not only that, I just think he was a boss, but he was human, and I think that's something that a lot of bosses are lacking. There was this one day, it was my fault. I missed my bus and I was late. I was 15 minutes late, and I could have avoided it because I didn't have to go to the shop. I could directly go to my job and never tell him that I was late. He would have never known. but I had to pick something up from the store. And I went to the store and I picked it up. And he was like, "Why are you here now?" And I was like, "Look, I missed my bus. It's my own fault." And he was like, "Okay." It's like, "You're late. Go to your job, do your work. It's okay. It happens to everybody." And I was like, "That's something that a lot of bosses don't do. I think."
Mm-hmm.
When there was theft, that was a tricky situation. I remember that, and I explained it to him like, "Look, I just think I misinterpreted the situation because there were three people talking to me back then. I was working in the shop, and they were telling a woman that she was stealing something, but I hadn't seen it, and she had a bag in a plastic bag, but I couldn't prove that she had stolen it. You know,
Yeah.
suddenly there are four people talking to me, and I was like, fuck, I don't know." And she was like, "Already bought it," and she claimed that she already bought it and that she wanted to change it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good luck proving it, because that shop never gave receipts.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I couldn't prove it. So eventually I was like, "Look, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna believe you, but I want you to leave the shop now." And she left. And eventually it turned out she stole. And I was wrong. And he was like, "Look, it happens. I'm not. He never took it from my paycheck." And he was like, "It happens." And I was like, "Okay." But he was like, "Next time, watch out because those people could work together." I was like, "Okay." And yeah, he was human. And I think a lot of businessmen are missing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. It's like you ever watch the anime One Punch Man?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He becomes so powerful that he's nobody can beat him. So what's the point anymore? And he said when you become that powerful, it's almost like you lose a sense of your humanity. So sounds like at the same time too. I think when some people become that powerful with money and success and running businesses, they lose a piece of them, that human piece of them. So, but it
Oh yeah.
sounds like that guy, held on to it.
Well, it just generated so much money that he just didn't have to care. He had like
Yeah.
4 stores, and then he had other side businesses, and he was well off. Like
Mhm.
he retired. He retired after he sold that supplement brand.
Yeah.
He was done. He retired young. He put in the work. I'm very happy for him. But then I had a boss who took over a company, and he had to pay off like 5 million euros or something.
Mhm.
So for him it was all about the money. He never cared about the people. He would treat everybody like shit. Like
Oh yeah.
money was his priority. Yeah, and then of course your coworkers aren't happy, and I'm like, well, you're the other side of the spectrum. That's the side of the spectrum that I never wanted to see.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I saw that multiple times where I was like, wow, like, you know, and then you have these people who like make these weird excuses. Like I remember my last long job that I had before I came the first time to Thailand. When I accepted that job, which was funny because it was never my intention to work there, they just accepted me and was like, oh fuck, it was like the worst job interview ever. And they accepted me and I was there and I signed my temporary contract and they were like, look, sometimes we're gonna come into your desk and we're gonna insult you because customers are not nice to us. And I was like, that's not nice. Like I don't like that. That
Yeah.
you know. And in the beginning, I was like, because like my boss, man, when she started freaking out, Jesus Christ, man, that was insane shit. She was like a loose cannon too.
Uh-huh.
At one and at one point, I was like, I'm sick of this shit, and I just that's how I started to figure out female nature. That's what I figured it out for the first time. I was like, I can't argue with her because that's just that's fighting fire with fire. So I remember every time she came in and she wanted to fucking shit on me because she had a
Mhm.
bad day, I would just flip her emotion like this. I would just make a joke and she would start laughing and she would just walk off. And I got away with it for
Yeah,
such a
man.
long time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty funny. And then at one point, she came in and she was mad. And I looked at her and I had a smile on my face because I already had a joke in my mind that I could make. And she looked at me with this face of like, motherfucker. And she was like, don't you dare to make a joke. And I was like, I didn't do anything. And she just was like, see, this is what I mean. And she just walked off.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's
That
it.
was learning too.
Like raising the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. In the end, man, so many people are lost.
Mhm.
Especially when you have responsibilities and power and money and it's having a business when it goes bad must be a horrible thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah, something that nobody wants to go through, but every business has their bad years.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are learning experiences.
Well,
All
yeah,
our
if you learn from.
learning experiences.
Well, if you learn from them, but that's the issue. Like I worked in a company. I'm gonna try to make sure that nobody can figure out which one it is because I don't want to get in trouble, just in case. But like
Uh-huh.
you could look at their numbers, and as soon as the power switch, as the power shifted, their numbers went down. It was like every year it went like this power shift, and it went like this. And they
Uh-huh.
didn't learn they didn't learn their lesson.
Yeah.
They just didn't learn. They were like just blaming it on external shit. And I was like, it's like, oh, it's the internet, and then it's the politicians, and then it's this, and then it's that. I'm like, well, you can blame all that shit, but I just see a company that's like badly run.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I don't know. That's why I just want to get out of that world and work for myself and live on my own terms.
Yeah. Well, I think not a lot of people want that.
Yeah. No, I think that just not a lot of people, like I was saying earlier, not a lot of people even see that as an option. Like they don't know. They're not red pilled in that way, to know that you can be free.
Yeah, I also think it's like something. I think you mentioned it earlier, where you said like the older you get, the harder to get or something. And man, once you're stuck into something, and you get older, man,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna get hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
Especially with jobs, because that's all you know.
Yeah.
And
Oh
you
yeah,
suddenly,
yeah. Like you've been programmed for so many years, and then trying to break
yeah,
that programming. Yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah.
tough to take work. So.
And some people will get like, yeah, some people they just face it, they just have to face reality in like a rough way. Where instead
Mm,
of like it goes gradually, they just get this reality check from like
yeah.
0 to 100 in like a second, and it's like, oof, you know.
Yep.
Glad I'm not in those shoes, but I
Yep.
think that's the last thing you want. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We're getting there, man. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're all getting there.
So,
Or, or,
I'm gonna have to get going here pretty soon. But before we go, since you're on, everything's shut down. My question for you is like, what does your day look like right now with training and eating and stuff?
training, eating.
Yeah.
I just wake up in the morning. I make sure I have like my 10 to 15 minutes for myself. Then I enjoy my coffee or my French press or cold brew.
Mhm.
Mostly that's when I start meditating. Like kind of reflecting on what I want to do. Then I catch up with like my social media and my blog. By 9, I mostly do my first session of the day, which is strength conditioning or just running. Then I eat
Mhm.
food. It's basically Thai food.
Yeah.
After that, I wind down and try to learn something new. Like I really got into the Last Dance documentary. I really enjoying that. I just try
Yeah.
to learn something or read a book or something. In between, I kind of try to relax a little bit and just enjoy something. Uh, or talk to people, hang out at the gym. My next session will be around. It depends. If I don't have to train with somebody else, I will train from like 3 to 4:30, like 90 minutes. And if I have to train with somebody else, I'll do 1 hour on my own, then 1 hour with that person on the path. So that's mostly from 3 to 6 then. But you have to go from to another location. After that, I eat Thai food and some fruit, or I eat the fruit in between. That kind of depends. I eat 2 to 3 meals a day. It's basically Thai food, rice, meat, a little bit of veggies, not too much. I don't like them. I like my fruits more.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe more vitamin, especially here, man. The fruit is amazing. And at night, I just wind down a little bit, kind of reading or something like that. But
Mhm.
it's like I said, it's like an off season for me. I just focus on bettering myself. I vow myself to improve every aspect of my life, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Yep.
How about you?
Basically, my life honestly didn't change too much because I was still working. So,
Yeah.
Get up, I work, I eat throughout the day, basically just follow my macros. The only big change that, really was my workouts. I'd switch from doing, my heavy deadlifts and squats and, bodybuilding stuff to doing, pull-ups, push-ups, and, light dumbbell work. So I'm still getting by. So as you can, give my joints and stuff a break. So, but I'm ready to lift some real weight. So I guess I was unprepared on that aspect. So, what I need to do is build myself my own gym so that, in case anything like this happens again, I can keep moving forward with those same goals. So, but at the flip side, the blessing of it is, my joints get a break. I have more time because I'm not driving to the gym, and so I'm also getting my house ready to sell right now. So that's why once we're off this call, I got to put a closet door up. I got to get some ceilings done. So we're getting there. Homes are an investment, man. So
So I sell them.
Yep. So, but the nice thing about it is, you make that investment, build that equity, and hopefully it pays itself off.
Well, hopefully you make more money than you bought it for.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's my mini mission right now. So
mini mission. Well, that should be the main goal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So main goal, get my house set up. Ready to sell. Got new T-shirts on the way. You saw a little sneak peek of my sketch there. So
it looked nice.
Yep. And going from there, just moving forward. Need to get some more.
How can people follow you?
On Instagram, obviously. Instagram's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. My handle is Luke Sweet Machine. So, I have my website, sweetmachinefitness.com. Aside from that, follow those two, and I got some other stuff in the works right now too. I just am a little sidetracked with getting my house ready, and that's a priority. So moving into another place with a lot more property, and I'll have space to even open my own personal training studio once the world's back open. So
people don't know this, but you got me into cooking, so I stole a lot of recipes from you.
Oh yeah, yep, for sure. So I am a pretty damn good cook.
Me too. Thanks to your website, so people know my secret now. I can cook, and when I find my recipes.
Yep. So, Sweet Machine Fitness. Yep. So follow me there. Anybody has any questions, wants to reach out, I'd love to talk. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's always fun to hear people. Right, we almost hit 2 hours.
Yeah.
Fun to have you on again, man.
Yeah, dude, it's been too long. We need to do this a little more often.
Yeah, we'll do this for sure. All right, see you next time.
Awesome, man. Good to talk to you.